Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to Susie Say That. Today's topic is to control in order not to be controlled. Let me repeat that. To control in order not to be controlled. Isn't that the way of the world? The world wants to control everything. They want to control your going in, your coming out. They want to control the narrative of what happens in your life. This is the way of the world, wanting to control everything. We often say we don't want to control anyone, we only want to control ourselves. That's a lie. Most of us want to control others, and we want to control that which is going on in our lives because we live in a hopeless, broken world that promotes control. It promotes the hierarchy system that you be over somebody else. You need to be, and we're not going to discuss children here, we're going to discuss adults who are still yet trying to control others because they can't control themselves. I can tell you this. I understand clearly what that is, to try to control others because you're being controlled. And you know you're being controlled. Most people know that something's not right here. Most people know that words can turn into control. Love can turn into control. When everything is coming from the heart. The root of fear, the root of rejection, the root of abandonment, all these things promote control. To the people that think that they're controlling anything, you're not controlling anything, although you think you are. You think you're controlling something because something is controlling you. That's why you're not controlling anything. Because if you think you're controlling something, then something inside of you is controlling you. And that would be what I just mentioned, fear, abandonment, all these other things that come with control. We think that we're not controlling people when we don't agree with them. When we don't agree with them, we think that's not control. But it is. It's a form of control. Because everyone should have an opinion on matters. They should feel like they can talk with you. They should feel like they can say how they feel about certain things. And you should not be upset about it. Why are you upset about it? Someone said something last week, and when they said it, I just thought, oh my gosh, this is how this person really feels. And I had to keep walking, but I kept thinking about it. Wow, this is how she feels. But I had to say to myself while walking, this is not, you can't control how she feels. This is her life. This is what she's been taught. She's been taught these things. So are you feeling some kind of, I have to ask myself this. Are you feeling some kind of way? Because if you are, you're trying to control her opinion about something. Then I was like, no, I'm not. She has a right to feel like she feels. And although I think it's crazy, although I think it's biased, and I think a lot of bad things about it, but I can tell you this, I didn't want to control that. That's her stuff. I don't have a right to want to control her opinion. We all were talking and she said something that, and I was like, but it's, as I was walking, I'm seriously, I'm telling you all, I was like, that has nothing to do with you. It's none of your business. Mind your own business. Because if you don't, you're trying to control her life with what she said. And I was like, okay, I'm good. And then I had to go back and say, have you ever said something about someone from your experience? And I was like, yeah, I have. Because I didn't want to control anything. I didn't want to control what she thought, how she thought it. Because I am in control only of me. I can't control anyone else. I can't control what someone says. I can't control what you think. And I have a right not to let you control me. You can't control me with words. A lot of words, I say the love word to my friends often if I'm going to hang up the phone, and people that I care deeply for. I'll say I love you. And if I just care for you, I'll still say I love you. May not see you again. However, you have to be careful with that word. That word, they done just drug that word love to the point where it can just mean anything to anyone. And people use it as a form of control. Spouses use it to keep their spouses in line. Children at school use it to keep their friends. Adults use it to keep the situation the way they want it. Love, the word love, has a form of control. If I keep telling someone that I love them over and over again, even though I'm just dragging them and doing all kind of wrong stuff, love will make them stay. And most of the time it does. And I can tell you that from my own life experience and many observations that the word love is a control tool that people use often. They'll say they love you and they'll put the knife in your back. I love you so much, and they won't even check on you. They'll say, I love you, I love you. What kind of love do they have? It's a control. It's to keep you where you are in their life, even though they don't want to be bothered with you. They really don't. But that word itself has a form of control over it. If you tell someone you love them over and over again and you don't give a nothing about them, it can possibly make them stay with you. Possibly make them keep on with the relationship, even knowing that it's toxic. It's bad. I don't need it. I did it, so I can say, yeah, it's true. About the word love. Can't control you. Fear. Look how many husbands, wives, done killed their spouses. Look how many boyfriends and girlfriends have killed each other. Think about it. Look at people that killed their children and the spouse. Think about that. Fear. They did it out of fear. The wives maybe told them they were going to leave, and they knew it, and maybe they didn't even say it. But they felt it because they had controlled, thought they controlled so much for so long. They really believed they had control. But what they didn't know, and did they care less to identify with the fact that that which was inside of them was controlling them. So how can you control something and something else control you? That's chaos. That's crazy. You can't. You can't control something and you're being controlled, because we, people, were never meant to be controlled. We were never meant for that. We were never meant to be controlled by other people. God gave us this great sovereignty, I am that I am, gave us the authority to control ourselves. The power, his power. We can choose. We can choose our enemy to control, to give him our control, or we can choose to act like we have some control over him, but we don't. But we think we do. We can do so much evil that we think we're controlling evil. You're not. You can say so many words to a person and think you're controlling. You get mad at your job. And I've heard people say it. That job didn't control me. Nobody controls me. I get that, but how are you going to pay your bills? It wasn't controlling you. This is the way they run their business. If their business is involved in controlling people, you need to file a complaint. You need to do something, because no job should be controlling you. You should work for your job. That means when your job asks you to do things, you ought to do it. I'm at my job and they ask, my schedule change all the time. And the first thing they ask, Susie, is this all right with you? And I said, hey, I work for y'all. If you're asking me to do something that's reasonable, certain things I won't do, but they ain't never been asked to do it, because that's not my job title. And she's clarified that on many, many occasions, you don't ever have to do that because that's not your job title. And I said, because if it was, I wouldn't work here. Control. She's not trying to control me. At my job today, I was asked, I know I had pending things to do, but they wasn't more important than my job. So she said, hey, I got another class. Can you just go in there and stay for about 30 minutes? And I was like, sure. Then when I got in there, it ended up being an extra 30 minutes. Was I upset about it? And did I leave out of there? I ain't gonna let them control me. That was not control. They asked me. And I obliged to do it for them. I like them. And if I didn't like them, I still would have did it. It's my job. I didn't get all upset because they asked me. I had some things to do. That's what some of you guys do. Some of you all get all crazy and you get off because it's you. It's inside of you. You want to control your job, but something's inside of you is controlling you. Fear, shame, whatever it is. Abandonment. You got to deal with the heart. You got to deal. Why are these things, when I'm trying to control a situation, why do I get ticked off about it? Ask yourself. Because you have something within your own self that's controlling you. And you're allowing it. So now you want to control everything outside of you because you have no control inside of you. You know how some of you all said, I'm not going to watch TV, that kind of shows again. I'm not going to ever watch that again. It's just bad for my psychic. I don't want to see it. I'm never going to watch those shows again. But you love those shows. And then you have your spirit telling you those shows. You dream all night about this, that, and the other. And you say, I'm done with those shows. But I like them, I like them, I like them. And then you go and tell somebody else. I wouldn't watch. They say, oh gosh, I was watching something. It was blood and it was gruesome. Oh, I don't watch them kind of shows. Oh, I don't. You should probably watch my shows because they're not as gruesome. And then they said, no, I want to watch your shows. Well, I'm just telling you that. And then you get an attitude, trying to control them. But inside of you, you have not dealt with the fact that you have asked yourself to stop watching certain shows. But then you try to bring this person along with you, and they don't want to. They have a right not to watch your shows, but you get an attitude. I'm going to quit talking to them anytime about this kind of stuff because they don't listen anyhow. They don't listen anyhow. You don't even listen to your own self. Think about that. You want to control everything outside of you, and you want to go well with you because you want to do that. Years ago, I was dating this gentleman, and he told me, he said, I want to let you know, this is control. And at first I was like, that ain't no control. He don't know what he's talking about. But years came past, and this is exactly what it was. And then I said, oh, why did I let that go on for so long? Because I allowed them to control me because I had no control for me. That's why you allow it. You allow people to control you because you don't control you. Because when you find out you are an individual, you have a right to make your godly decisions. You have a right to make good, wholesome decisions for yourself. And anything other, when people get upset because you didn't choose, which they thought you should choose, and that's control. If you want to know whether a person is trying to control you, find out if they control themselves in that area. Find out. Do they control themselves? They want you to come as soon as they call. You need to come, you need to help, you need to do this. Do they do it? They have not yet, and most of them don't. Most of them don't, but they want you to come as soon as they call, as soon as they do this, you need to come. But will they do it for you? Or will they do it for someone else? Most of them don't. And then they go say, you're selfish. You're this, you're that. But they wouldn't do the things they're asking you to do. They would not do it. Control. They're trying to control you to do things they wouldn't do because they don't even know what's going on with them. They can't even control themselves because they're repeated offenders of doing things they shouldn't do. Also, if you want to know a person that wants to control, they don't like boundaries. They hate them. They don't want you putting up boundaries because boundaries says there's a level of control I give to you. And one thing you do not do is control me. They hate boundaries. They're not going to obey them. They'll knock them down every chance they get because they like controlling. They want to control everything around them because they're not controlling that which inside them. They think they are because they've been deceived. So just remember that. Who's controlling you? Or who are you controlling? Are you controlling someone and you don't want to be controlled? How does that work? It doesn't. Because no one was born to be controlled once they became adults. Children, we're not going to talk about them because they need a level of control. They do. Because that's how they become healthy adults. But once they become adults, no, they're not supposed to be controlled. They're not. Should they take wise advice? I would beg them to. Because you get older and you'll find out all that wise advice was good for you. And especially if you had people that really cared about you and gave you wise advice, you will get older and find out they wasn't trying to control you, they were trying to love you. And I'm talking about children right now. Because adults, no, you're adults. No one has a right to control you in order to love you. And I realize people stay in marriages and relationships because they believe that this person is the one for them, and they beat them up. They control their whereabouts. They got to call them every time they leave home. They curse them out. They demean them. They do all these kind of things. And they do that because it's control. It's fear. It's either a generational curse, the pathology. They've seen their parents do it, but there's fear there. And guess what? That control will keep you there. It'll keep you in bondage. And you'll be constantly trying to control everything around you, even at the expense of your own friends, because somebody is controlling you. They're controlling you. You're trying to control somebody else because you have no control within yourself. And you have not asked your God to let you self-identify. Identify with the control so that I can realize who's controlling me. And why am I allowing the control? Because love is not supposed to be controlled. Peace is not to be controlled. All these things are natural. They're natural. They come naturally. They don't have to be controlled. If you find love being controlled, that's not love. If you find peace trying to be controlled, that's not love. Honor trying to be controlled, that's not honor. Being trustworthy and trying to control something that you say you are, that's not being trustworthy. All these things that I just mentioned to you should not be being controlled. It doesn't have to be. They're natural to you. They're within you, and they deserve to be respected and honored. Okay? Till the next time.